Hello everyone, it's Karen and welcome to another album review. Now today we're going to be reviewing an album from an artist that I just went to see live a few days ago. It was a brilliant concert. I think people in the channel know who it is, but in case anybody doesn't know, I'm going to say who it is in a minute. I saw him live, and this album celebrates its 45th anniversary today, so I wanted to talk about the album because of that, and also because of the fact I've just seen him live. I wanted to make a video about him, and that's Bruce Springsteen, and the album I'm reviewing is Darkness on the Edge of Town. So this video I'm going to go over a bit of background about the album, show you my copies of the album, go over each track, and give the album as a whole a marking out of 10. So Darkness on the Edge of Town was Bruce Springsteen's fourth studio album, released on the 2nd of June 1978. The album was the follow-up album to his critically successful and commercially successful album Born to Run in 1975. And that was a big album for Bruce, and it really developed who he would become as a songwriter. But then after Born to Run and after the tour in 1975, Bruce had great plans for 1976. He was to go into the studio and begin working his fourth album that summer. But however, his manager at the time, Mike Appel, was wanting to release a live record of recordings they had made during the Born to Run tour. But however, John Landau, who was sort of producing Bruce at the time, decided that both ideas were that wasn't a good idea because it was too early for his live career, and Bruce was wanting to make his fourth studio record with John Landau as producer. Things then came to a head when Bruce sued his management for breach of contract and undue influence and fraud, and then that came to a head when a judge ordered that Bruce could not be into the recording studio until his legal dispute with Mike Appel was resolved. So Bruce really had no option but to really go on tour. And during this tour he began premiering some of the songs that he was writing during this period, and some of the ones that either would later make it onto the album, and even the ones that didn't make it onto the album in the end. So eventually, then this went on for a good few months, and eventually in May of 1977 the legal dispute between Bruce and Mike was resolved, and they came to an agreement, and Bruce went into the studio to make his fourth record on the 1st of June 1977, starting in the Atlantic Studios in New York City. But after a few months he wasn't happy with Atlantic's sound, and eventually relocated to the Record Plant Studios in New York in September of 1977. But during the sessions he was trying to get the sound he was trying to create, and he wasn't getting it. So he got some production assistance from Steve Van Zandt, who's the guitarist in the E Street Band as well, and with Landau also producing. So eventually recording was complete in March of 1978, and the album was mixed, and eventually was finally released in June. Darkness on the Edge of Town, when it was released, received some favourable reviews, generally favourable reviews. It reached number 5 on the US album chart and peaked at number 14 in the UK, which, if you think that's not too bad, you know, I mean, the UK fans were kind of slowly warming up to Springsteen a bit. I mean, they'd seen him in the Hammersmith Odeon in 1975 on the Born to Run tour, but over the years there had been many people wondering whatever happened to Springsteen, you know. I mean, one year he was on the front page of Times and Newsweek, and then within a year people were wondering what had happened to Springsteen, where was he, when the reality was he couldn't record, but eventually could record. Rolling Stone magazine gave it favourable reviews, including the journalist Dave Marsh, and yeah, it's a great album, one of my favourite Bruce albums as well. So I'm going to show you my copies of the album. Here's the front. Nice picture of Bruce there wearing a kind of black leather jacket and a white t-shirt, and I like that kind of black lettering as well. This is a Holland pressing from the, I think, 70s Holland pressing. Tracks on the back. And it comes with its lyric insert, which I know some copies, I like the fact it's like written by typewriter. I know some copies of this album have a pink lyric insert, but mine's white for some reason. Must be like that with foreign copies. Here's the inner sleeve. And the recording engineer for this session was a guy named Jimmy Iovine. And Jimmy Iovine had engineered the Born to Run album, and Jimmy Iovine would later go on to produce Tom Petty, Stevie Nicks, Meat Loaf and Jim Steinman, but he was also recording with Patti Smith at the time as well, I think. There's the record on the CBS label. So there's that one. Okay, and I've also got the album on CD, which I'll just show you. Here it is. This comes from the collection box set. 1973 to 1984. So it has his first 7 albums, up from Greetings from Raspberry Park up to Born in the USA. Back, very similar to the vinyl kind of packaging, but a lot smaller. And it replicates the original Columbia label, which is what his label was in America. And also, I've got a CD related to the Darkness album. It's this album, The Promise. Now this is a double disc of material that Bruce had recorded during the sessions for Darkness and the Edge of Town, but they never made the final cut. And there is quite a few ones that are known on here. You have Fire, which was one that he intended for Elvis Presley, but later gave to the Pointer Sisters. And then you have Because the Night, which became a huge hit for Patti Smith in 1978. There's a famous story around that. And there's a song on here called Rendezvous, which was later one that he had given to Gary U.S. Bonds on his album On the Line in 1982. And he has since played all 3 of these songs I've just mentioned live on various times on tours. And there are actually live recordings out there of him doing this song. And there was another song that he did during that period called Heart of Stone, which wouldn't see release until the Tracks box set in 1998. So, just thought I would show it because it was sort of similar to the album. This does have a lot of sessions from it. Yeah. The tour of Darkness and the Edge of Town only was in the United States, but it was probably one of the most memorable. It's a tour that often gets speaked about. You know, he was playing like arenas, theatres, some music halls, and there was even a couple of shows in that tour where he was doing like these little small club shows at the Roxy in Hollywood and the Agora in Cleveland, Ohio, both of which were recorded for radio, and you can hear them on bootlegs and even the official live archive series. One thing I want to point out about this, it says 20 on it. I don't think it was €20 when I got it in Italy. I think it was like €10. I got it for a lot less. But let's go over the album's tracks. So, we begin this album with Badlands, and what a way to start off this album. I like the drums, the start, and then the piano kicks in with Roy Bittan playing the piano, and then Bruce's guitar goes, I really like that guitar sound effect, whatever it is he was doing with the guitar. I like the guitar sound on the track. Great guitar solo, and the sax is great as well. Lyrics are great. I really like a lot of lyrics in the song. You talk about a dream, try to make it real. Some of his greatest words. This has definitely some of his greatest lyrics in it, and it's no surprise that that Springsteen still plays this live in concert. And he played this live a few nights ago when I saw him, and this has appeared on greatest hits albums as well. Again, it's no surprise because this is definitely one of Springsteen's best songs, Badlands, no, without a shadow of a doubt. So that's a great one there, Badlands. Then we have Adam Raised a Cane. Adam Raised a Cane. This is another great one. This is another great rocky song. Great lyrics to it. I like his vocal performance on it as well. I really like the kind of end with the backing vocals. I quite like that end bit with the backing vocals. That's a great part of the song. Next track is Something in the Night. Something in the Night's a great one. I like the piano start to it. The drums then start rolling. As I probably mentioned, the drums kind of roll, and then the drums just crash, and then the song kicks in, and then Bruce begins his singing. It's a great song, almost kind of haunting, but it is a great song. I really like it. It's one of my favourites, Something in the Night. And then in the middle of the song, the instruments stop, and it's all the drums going boom, 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 like that. It goes like that. I really like that song, Something in the Night. One of my favourite songs off the album. One of my favourite Bruce songs in general. And this is one that he's recently revived in his tour because he's been playing it. Because he played it in Dublin a few weeks ago, and from looking at the set lists. And this is one that he's been reviving on the tour. He's been doing quite a lot of Darkness tour, and he did quite a lot of Darkness albums material. Excuse me, a few nights ago when I saw him. Then we have Candy's Room. Candy's Room originally started off being called Candy's Boy, I think, but it had completely different lyrics to the song, and it was like rewritten and kind of rearranged. And I really like the way the song started the Max Weinberg's sort of hi-hat and making the and then Bruce starts his vocals. Well, he actually speaks things about in Candy's room there are pictures of our heroes of a wall. I think everyone knows how the song goes. It's a great song. And again, this is one that I was really surprised to see him do a few nights ago. But then again, it's hardly a surprise to see him do Candy's Room, because whatever Bruce does is going to be great. And Candy's Room was definitely one of the highlights of a few nights ago. Yeah, great song. I really like it. And this is one that Bruce has continued to play live since the tour. He actually did a concert years ago where he did all the Darkness songs at the Paramount Theatre in Asbury Park. I think to for the re-release of it. Yeah, great song, Candy's Room, one of Bruce's best. It doesn't often get mentioned that often these days, but I like it. I think it's one of my favourite ones, Candy's Room. Then we have Racing in the Street. Now, an alternate version of Racing in the Street appears on the Promise CD, but Racing in the Street, I really like the slow piano start to it and the vocal performance to it. And even the line, "Summer is here and the time is right for racing in the street." That kind of makes you think of the Martha Reeve and the Vandellas song, "Summer here and the time is right for dancing in the street." And when Bruce would be on tour during the winter months, he would sing, "The summer is gone and the time is right for racing in the street" on occasions. You can hear it on like things like from the River tour in like the November and December of 1980. And if it was the summertime on tour, he would sing, "Summer is here and the time is right for racing in the street." So yeah, great one there, Racing in the Street. One that he's continued to play live over the years. It's quite a long one, quite a long, slow one, but I like the song. I think it's a personal favourite one, a personal highlight in Bruce's discography and catalogue. Then we have The Promised Land. The Promised Land. I really like the harmonica start in the song, and it's a great song. One of my favourite songs on the album, The Promised Land. This is one that Bruce has continued to play live over the years. Again, and this is one I saw him do a few nights ago, and it was a great, great song. It's been one of my favourite Bruce songs for a long time. And even, I think my dad had this t-shirt years ago, and it had the opening line, "Rattlesnake Speedway, Utah Desert, Waynesboro County, 1978, kind of in homage to the song in a way. And yeah, a great song, one of my favourites with Promised Land. One that Bruce has played live over the years many, many times, and it's one that I saw him do a few nights ago, and it's great. Then we have Factory. Now, Factory and Promised Land, I think, was a single. Badlands was also a single, but I don't know if Promised Land was a single, but Promised Land does appear on a compilation called The Essential Bruce Springsteen in 2003. So, yeah, it kind of makes a rare appearance, I guess. Then we have Factory. Factory was one of the songs that Bruce had written about his father, one of the many songs that Bruce wrote about his father, because Bruce's dad was a factory worker, and some of the lyrics are kind of very autobiographical about his father. Factory takes his hearing, factory gives him life. It's the working life, and it was one of the many songs he wrote about his dad over that period. And during this period, he wrote and recorded a song called Independence Day that was also about a father and son relationship, but that wouldn't get released until The River in 1980, which we've already touched upon in another video. If you want to see me talk about The River in more detail, you can go back to the channel and look. But anyway, back to Darkness. But yeah, great album on Factory. And Factory was issued as the B-side of Prove It All Night, and Factory was even a B-side, I think, of Promised Land. One of the two. Or I think Streets of Fire might have been a B-side. I'm not too sure. I kind of decided to do this video kind of last minute, so apologies if I don't get my research right. But yeah. Oh, sorry. Nice one there, Factory. One of his best. One that doesn't do too often, but it's still always good to hear him do Factory. But he didn't do it a few nights ago, but something he doesn't do live too often, but sometimes when he does, you always like to hear him do it. Then we have Streets of Fire. Streets of Fire as a nice organ start to it from Danny Federici, and then Bruce's vocal starts. It's almost kind of, I really like the sound of it, and then it starts kicking in, the band's kicking right away, the down, do 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 do, like that. I really like Bruce's vocal performance in this album. A great Streets on Fire. It's a great one, great song. One of my favourite Springsteen vocal performances is Streets of Fire. Then we have Prove It All Night. Prove It All Night was a single off the album. I have the single here. This is a Canadian import of Prove It All Night. B-side being Factory. Found this in my local record shop for a good price, so I got it. But Prove It All Night, it's a great one. I like the piano start. Do 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 da. Da, 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 da. And then it kicks in with the rest of the band. I like Bruce's vocal performance, and the saxophone's great, as is the guitar solo in the middle. And this is one that Bruce has played live throughout his career many, many times on pretty much every tour. And I saw him do it live a few nights ago. It was one of the early songs in the show. I saw him do it, Prove It All Night. It's a great one, Prove It All Night. One of my favourites from Darkness. A great song, and it's probably one that Springsteen... Yeah, great song. I like it a lot. And the last track's the title track, Darkness on the Edge of Town. Again, I saw this one do him like that live in Hampden, and 2016, and I saw him again do it last night, a few nights ago in Edinburgh. Yeah, great song. One of my favourites. I like the piano start, the do-do-do. And I like the lyrics, the vocals to it. And Bruce again has played this live pretty much every tour. And it's one that he has continued to play live in the years since. and it's a great song, one of my favourite Bruce songs. I really like the version on the In Concert MTV Plugged, which I think I kind of knew the song was because of the In Concert MTV Plugged live album. That's how I kind of knew the song, but it's a great song. It's one of my favourite Bruce songs, as is the MTV Plugged version in '92. Yeah, great album. Great song, one of my favourite songs, and a great title track as well. Now we're going to rate the album as a whole. Well, it's a no-brainer. It's a 10 out of 10. I love the production of this album. I really love the sound in this album, the kind of vocals, performance. A lot of it is quite dark, but you know, it's a really great album. It's one of my favourite albums, and you know, me and my dad often have a talk about our favourite Springsteen albums. Some we talk about a lot, and he'll tell me, well, most days it's darkness, but some days it'll change. I'll see another thing another day, and that's kind of, you know, how we do it. And Darkness is a personal favourite of mine. I think Darkness will be in my top 5 of Springsteen albums. It's up there with things like The River, Born in the USA, Tunnel of Love, Only the Strong Survive, Letter to You, Devils and Dust. It's amongst my favourite Springsteen albums, and not just one of my favourite rock albums of the 1970s. It's probably one of my favourite Bruce albums, or albums in general for that matter. So yeah, some of the other material I meant to mention that Bruce recorded during The River Darkness sessions was he recorded Sherry Darling and the Ties That Bind, I think. But they would never see release until 1980 on The River, which we'll probably touch about on other videos. But yeah, great album, one of my favourite Bruce albums. So that's it for this video. Hope you like this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I kind of hope to revive these album reviews and do them kind of more on a regular basis. Maybe do once or twice a month. Yeah, just trying to come up with ideas for the channel. So would like to do the discography video, discography review, where we review an artist's entire discography and career. Live in studio, and then see what are the recommendations albums to get in a way. So yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of doing this for this channel. If not this year, then maybe sometime next year. But yeah, I'm talking about 2024 plans already, even we're still in 2023. But it's kind of something I'd like to do. But like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.